Well, I want to do a short report on a few key items tonight. I know it probably won't end up being short, but let's see what happens. And the first article I want to bring about is it says Israel warns of action over Russian plans to give missiles to Syria's Assad. And what it says a senior Israeli defense official warned on Tuesday that Russia's plan to send sophisticated anti-aircraft missiles weapon systems to Syria's President Bashar Assad was a threat and signaled Israel could take some form of unspecified action in response. Of course, Russia has talked and indicated that they were not going to at first send these weapon systems to Syria, but then in about face almost overnight said the exact opposite, and they are determined to do that, and their intention to go ahead with that as soon as possible. In fact, they've already stated that the missiles are on their way. And of course, this spells some trouble for Israel, especially if they are to go into Syria and prevent missiles or arms shipments to Hezbollah again. This would pose a huge problem. But on top of that, it has also brought some of the larger countries of the EU up in arms against Russia's desire to do such a thing. But I think in the bigger picture, what this is doing is this is setting up a division between the West and Russia and their allies. And this very well may play out during the tribulation period. In fact, Revelation 6 very well may be the dividing line that does bring down 1.5 billion people to their deaths. Of course, that's speculation on my part, but it's starting to shape up that way, in which the West, the European Union basically, and Israel seem to be on one side of the fence, whereas Russia, Syria, and Iran, and possibly China and a few other Islamic countries, or whatever the case may be, are on the other side of the fence. Now, don't get me wrong, not all Islamic nations are going to take up residence with Russia. And I'm not going to discuss why I believe that, but there are a number of reasons why I believe. That is why I don't believe that Saudi Arabia will attack Israel. I believe that they are going to stay with the United States. That's their alliance. I think that's going to stay. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me that, but I think intelligence is going to bear that out. I think in the long run, I do not believe that other countries that are aligned with the United States at this time are going to cross that line. Now, others might say, well, yes, I believe that because they have some Psalm 83 type fantasy going on, or whatever the case may be. I certainly and have said for many years that I do not believe in the Psalm 83 war. I believe in Psalm 83, but not the Psalm 83 war. I believe that there may very well be some type of war that will come up against Israel during the tribulation period. It might transpire into something of their neighbors coming against them. Whether it will be all of them, I would very much doubt it, but we'll see what happens. But of course, I don't believe in the Psalm 83 scenario at all. But we'll see what happens in the future. A lot of people do in this prophetic world. But this isn't the big news that I wanted to bring across. In fact, if you're watching the Syrian war and you're thinking that's the thing that's going to shape the tribulation period, then you're looking at you're looking at the wrong thing. The very shape of the tribulation period will begin with a peace process. It will come with the Antichrist coming on the scene, and he will bring peace to the Middle East. In fact, it will be with many, and I believe that it very well could be in the shape of this Arab peace plan. Now, whether it will be an Arab, I don't know, whatever the case may be. I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be, I still believe it's coming out of the European Union, but frankly, I don't really care where it comes out of as long as it comes. I know that the Lord has a plan in that direction, but I'm looking for the rapture of the church. I'm looking for the tribulation period. If I get a lot of people who get on my site, which I'm banning now, but that are bringing about and trying to convince others about the post-tribulation rapture, and that Christians would go through the tribulation period. Well, I don't believe the Bible supports that, and no one has ever convinced me of it. I've given plenty of chances for the post-tribulation believers to try to convince me of a post-tribulation rapture, but every time they do, I come up with more and more valid biblical reasons why it's simply not true. So, that's the reason why I've banned them, because I've given them many opportunities to try convince me of their argument. And like I said, I'm open to it. The fact is that they've never come up with anything that can get them past the word go. But getting back to what I was saying, and here's the article. It's coming out of the Jerusalem Post. It says, poll, most Israelis back Arab peace initiative. In fact, the subheading is, study indicates that 69% of Israelis would back Netanyahu if he reached deal with all Arab states. In fact, this is what it says. If Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu were to adopt the Arab peace initiative and reach a final status agreement with the Arab states, the majority of Israelis would support the move, according to the poll, whose findings were partially published on the El Monitor news website Monday. The Israeli Peace Initiative commissioned opinion poll found that after having the Arab Initiative explained to them, 55% of the respondents said they would support the initiative to some degree, with 27 strongly opposing it, and 17.5 unsure how they would answer. In the scenario where the Prime Minister backs the initiative, however, the number of proponents jumped to 69%, and those who strongly oppose dropped to 18%. The poll was conducted on May 20th by Israeli poll company and New Way Research, interviewing a sample of 500 Jewish Hebrew-speaking Israelis over the age of 18. El Monitor specified. The sample margin of error, of course, was 4 to 5%. Now, here's something also that came out in this article, and this is something that you might want to take note of. It says the poll found that support for the Prime Minister is higher among older adults and almost non-existent among younger ones, according to the El Monitor poll. Additionally, the poll found that strong opposition to the Prime Minister is most widespread in central Israel. And here's something that's kind of shocking. It says that perhaps the most surprising result was that 73.5% of Hebrew-speaking Israelis had never heard of the Arab Initiative or knew of its existence, but were unfamiliar with its details. Now, here's two things that you can take away from this. Number one, as the old guard, if this peace process continues on, you can see right here that the old guard, when it finally moves on, that peace is going to be more and more welcomed. And I believe that the Arab peace plan will probably be what they will look at and say, you know what, this is probably the most viable peace process. And the second thing you need to take away from this is that of younger adults, Mr. Netanyahu was basically, his support from the younger generation was virtually non-existent. So what does that tell you right there? That tells you that as time goes on, as this peace process goes on, Mr. Netanyahu's policies are eventually going to fade. He simply cannot keep denying this peace process. And something that is the most shocking is that of all Israeli-speaking Jews, 73.5% didn't even know what the Arab peace plan is. Can you imagine what the support for this peace process or this peace plan might be if, in fact, they had a clear understanding, if all Israelis had a clear understanding of this peace process? Even without a clear understanding, almost 70% said yes, we would back this proposal. So as I've said in the past, I think that we are looking at a future in which this peace process, the Arab peace plan, very well may be adopted very soon. How soon? Nobody knows. The Lord is in control of that. It's His plan when He will come, and we just can't we can't determine when the Lord's going to come based upon current events. As we know from the past, that those current events can change in a heartbeat, to slow things down or speed things up, or whatever the case may be. In fact, I can tell you right now, I've been doing this for 15 years, or over 15 years, and I can tell you right now that the year 2000, I was very convinced that the rapture of the church was going to take place. Well, here we are 13 years later, and it still hasn't taken place. and I was putting out commentary just like I'm doing today, but in the written form, putting it on my website, making analysis just as I am today. And truthfully speaking, with the information that I had from intelligence sources, it was I thought for sure it was a done deal then. I couldn't believe. It's hard to believe that we're still here and the rapture has not taken place. But as I've said, it's all in the Lord's plan. He will make the determination, not man, when the rapture of the church will take place. There is no feast day that's going to determine when the rapture takes place. It will be when the final lost soul has been saved, the final mansion has been built, just as Jesus said when he left, I go to prepare a place for you. And when that place has been finished, he's going to come. You know, a lot of people may think that's a silly thought, is that you're trying to tell me that the rapture of the church is all determined upon when the last mansion is built in heaven. Well, you know, that very well may be a silly thought, but the truth of the matter is it may not be too far-fetched. There's no real concrete, solid biblical research that indicates that's the case, because the Bible still indicates that no man knows the day nor the hour when the Lord will come back. But the bottom line is that very well may be the truth. And yes, I can see the day coming, but that still doesn't mean that I know exactly when it's going to take place. Well, that's all I have for today. I just wanted to bring that to you, and if you don't know Jesus as Savior, today would be a good day to make that decision. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.